Hello, everybody. Welcome back to the Bitter Rivals podcast, episode 105, powered by 91N. I am your host, Avery Roush. This is co-host Gitano Gallo, and we have hockey to talk about. Beautiful, wonderful regular season hockey to talk about. Preseason is over, and it's so good to be back, isn't it, Gitano?
Just the best feeling. And I know you weren't a fan of preseason hockey, and I'm a little bit more of a fan of it, but it's just so nice to have actual meaningful hockey on right now.
Oh, yeah. Well, and it's easier for you to be a fan of it because the regular, you're probably not going to, the Montreal Canadiens probably are not going to make the playoffs. They might, but they probably are not. And so regular season or preseason is where you get to see kind of what's exciting about your organization right now, which is younger prospects, right? That's the beauty of the preseason for a team that's not at the top of the league, right? Even middle of the pack teams get to see that. They get to see the future. Whereas with the Leafs, it doesn't really matter at all. That's why I'm not a huge fan of the preseason. But anyway, let's not talk about it anymore because it's over. Let's talk about the regular season. Let's get right into it. Leafs Habs opening night in Toronto. Season opener for both teams. And we watched this one together, and boy, was it a roller coaster of emotions both ways.
I don't understand how the NHL sees a game like that and says we only want that twice more this year.
Yeah.
Why are we not playing 6 or 7 times?
That is a fair point. And I think that actually what it is that they want everybody to have a game against everybody in the league. They want every team to play every team. And in an 82-game structure, it's hard to do that and also have an abundance of rivalry games or interdivisional games. That's what it, because we used to play more divisional games, right? But they wanted us to play at least a game against every Western Conference team. And I think it's actually 2. Is it not every team plays one game in each team's home arena, or is it like that yet?
I'm pretty sure the schedule is set up like the Premier League one is basically you play every team home and away once. So I'm pretty sure the NHL schedule is the same, and then it adds those extra games in
divisional.
Yeah,
divisional and conference, I believe, is what it is.
Yeah.
Anyway,
they don't want to be traveling to California 6 times a year. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Anyway, it was a hell of a game. Montreal goes up 2-0. We thought they went up 3-0. As you can imagine, Gitano was a little overzealous after that. But come back in full effect. They come back. I believe they made it 3-2, and then we went down 5-3. Then Matthews scored 2 to tie it and complete the hat trick, by the way. Foreshadowing. But man, that was one of the crazy. There was so much going on. In the first 10 minutes, there was a Revo versus Wi-Fi fight that didn't. Yep. We could talk about that a little bit, but they're going to go again. Let's put it that way.
Oh my God. And so I saw this on Chicklets, and I didn't realize it. And it was one of those things that didn't click in my head, but Lucic is back in the Atlantic too.
Oh yeah.
There are legitimate heavyweight contenders in the Atlantic, and I am so looking forward to seeing all of the fights. I want to see Reeves and Lucic. I want to see Jack and Lucic. We've already seen Jack and Reeves once. I'm sure we will see it again.
Oh, Reeves already said when he was asked about that fight, he said, "Yeah, we play them 2 more times." Yeah. So they're going again. They're absolutely going again. And Reeves has 2 fights in 2 games. He fought Marcus Foligno last night, after absolutely destroying. I think it was Freddie Gaudreau. He absolutely clean hit, shoulder right to chest, rattled the guy's entire cage. What a hit! And then him
on first view, I didn't like the hit. Man, I watched the slow mo. I was oh, that's totally fine.
He completely destroyed him, shoulder to chest, center of the ice, and Gaudreau's head was absolutely in another time zone.
Gone. Oh,
it was awesome. We have not been treated to hits like that in Leafs Nation for a long time. And it's
probably since Darcy Tucker.
Well, the last guy who was supposed to be a player like that, like, honestly, was Dion Phaneuf. So, like, it's been a while, man. Like, it's been a while.
Yeah.
But wow, was that nice to see, and to see 2 fights in 2 games, and like both fights were results of a hit that he made. You didn't like the hit against Montreal. I'm of the belief that the player turned at the last second. I forget who it was, but there's not much that Reeves can do in that scenario.
No, but my thinking is if it's flipped around and that's Arbery Xhekaj throwing that hit on Matthews or Marner, you don't like it either, right? Like,
and no, but I also recognize that they turned at the last second, and that it's not on the guy making that. Like, that's their fault.
Yeah, and like I said when we were watching the game, like, it's not like I was asking for Reeves to be tossed for the hit, but it was 2 for hitting from behind or boarding because he was on the numbers. Like, it's a minor penalty.
Well, he was shoulder to shoulder until the guy turned. Actually,
like I said, should have been a minor. I'm not gonna like throw the toys out of the pram here over a minor penalty that didn't get called. Like, we just don't need to have that argument again. I think it should have been a minor. It wasn't a minor. Whatever. You know, Xhekaj obviously didn't like it, stepped up and dealt with it. And now we wait for, I think it's March 9th for the rematch.
Yeah, like, that's just absurd.
Yeah. And like this is what I mean when I say, like, how are we only playing you guys twice more? Like, I love opening night against you guys, and I love ending the season against you guys. I think that's a great tradition. They should keep doing that.
Yes. But,
like, to have only 1 game between there and it's in fucking March is just embarrassing for the league.
It truly is. Yeah, like, Reeves wants to fight Xhekaj tomorrow. Xhekaj wants to fight Reeves tomorrow. Not in March, right? Like, I think we can understand where the issue is there with one of the greatest rivalries in all of sports.
Yeah, and like, not even just the league. Like, this is like an 82 game season.
It happens 3 times.
Yeah,
that's absurd, and they have to fix it, and they will.
And like, I understand asking for 7 games against you guys is a bit much. I understand that, but like, how are we at least not playing like twice at home, twice away against you guys?
That's completely fair. That's not unreasonable to ask for, like I said, one of the greatest rivalries in sports. Anyway, so let's get back to the actual game.
Yeah.
So Matthews scores the 2 to tie it, to complete the hat trick in opening night, which was incredible enough, right? And it goes to a shootout, and the only one to score is Mitch Marner, who made a pretty nice move and scored.
Yeah.
Leafs win in a shootout. What was the final? 6-5? I believe it was 6-5. So, heck of a game. But let's talk about Saturday night to last night now, Hockey Night in Canada. The reason that this podcast is recorded on Sunday mornings is so that we can catch things like what happened last night. And what happened last night is Austin Matthews scored another hat trick to have 6 goals in 6 periods on the season. My guy is on pace for 246 goals on the year through 2 games. I don't know what else to say.
He's all right.
I don't know what else. I think I said it all last week when we were doing our awards predictions. I think there was a little bit of foreshadowing of what I thought of Austin Matthews' season, and I thought he was going to be back with a vengeance. I thought he was going to come back with MVP prowess, and that's exactly what he's showing us through 2 games. And they are not he is scoring some beauties, man, some absolute beauties. And it's just,
I will say the tying goal against Montreal was absolutely nasty.
Oh yeah, the reach around there. Did you see the one he scored last night? The third one for the hat trick?
I did not know. I was busy watching Connor Bedard make his Hockey Night Canada debut against Montreal.
Fair enough. So that goal, he basically takes the puck in motion, and all in one motion behind the net. He receives the pass and cuts hard, like, from behind the net to the center of the ice, and like right in front of the net, and just absolutely.
I've got the clip up right now.
Drives just he's so back. He's so back. He's so back, and it's one of the most refreshing things to see, especially just like after he just committed to an extra 5 years after this year to being a Toronto Maple Leaf. That deal is starting to look fantastic through 2 games here. And he's the highest paid player in the NHL. So what does that tell you? My guy is back with a vengeance. He's coming for the MVP this year. He's scored 40 goals last year, and he might win comeback player of the year. Like, think about how absurd that is. It's everybody else. Like, John Tavares also has 5 assists through 2 games. He leads the league in that category to this point in the season. It's only 2 games in, obviously, but John Klingberg, 3 assists already through 2 games. Leads defenseman in that category. So very much liking what I'm seeing from the offense. But defense and goaltending.
Gonna just ask that, because obviously giving up 5 on opening night's not ideal for either of us. And then you gave up another 4 last night to Minnesota. Was that a straight goaltending issue or team defense issue? Or
well, the defense does not look very strong defensively, but that's not something that, like, if they look like that 10 games from now, then I'll be a little bit worried if they're still looking like that. I think I especially with the new pieces in there, like Klingberg and Liljegren having an elevated role. Giordano's another year older. I think it's important that we give them at least that window, like a 10, 12 game window to kind of come into form before we start judging them as a unit. What does worry me, though, is Ilya Samsonov has looked like shit. To be quite honest, he hasn't looked really good at all, and I was not expecting that. I thought he was going to be fantastic. But if I'm Sheldon Keefe, I'm starting Joseph Woll in the next game. And I think Samsonov needs to take a step back for a second and evaluate where he's at. He didn't look good in the preseason either, to be honest with you. Neither did Joseph Woll, which is kind of concerning. But I think giving Woll an opportunity here is probably what I would do if I was in Sheldon Keefe's shoes. Just because Samsonov hasn't gotten it done. Like, you're going to need goaltending. Pardon?
Who do you play next?
Chicago on Monday. So that'll be fun watching Bedard play the Leafs. But that's also probably a pretty good opportunity for a guy like Joseph Woll to come in and kind of steal the show, because that's all they have. Chicago is Connor Bedard. Like, it's him and like 14 just random guys.
Pretty much.
Yeah, or like, what is it, 16 other guys? I don't even know what makes up a roster. 19, because there's the goaltender. No, 20. So 19 other guys. Yeah, 19 guys.
Taylor Hall's out, so like it's literally.
Yeah.
It's quite literally him and a bunch of randoms.
Yeah.
So, that's actually a nice segue, because the Habs played them last night. Sam Montembeault got his first start of the season, looked pretty good. Wasn't overly busy, which was nice to see. Montreal's defense, again, not up against a great offense, looked all right. Bedard managed, I think, only 4 or 5 shots on net. Was kept pretty quiet. He is struggling in the faceoff circle, though, Wave. He is. That's going to be a huge issue for him. I know he got blanked by Crosby, I think, on opening night, or he only maybe won 1 or 2. And then I don't know his final numbers, but with about 7-8 minutes left in the third, he was still over last night. But other than that, like, he's got a little bit of something to him. I feel like that's stating the obvious, but like, he's not outside of the faceoff dot. He's not really looked out of place yet, which is slightly worrying.
Yeah, well, I don't think he was ever going to look out of place. TSN already has him in the top 50 players in the league, dude. He hasn't, but they had him there before he ever played a game, and that's quite a compliment for a kid who's never stepped foot into the NHL. And through 3 games, he's got 2 points, and he's one of the league leaders in shots on net. If you watch the kid play, he just creates, man. He is so good at creating shot attempts, at creating opportunities for his teammates. Like, on the power play, he looks
he's so scary. He's so scary.
Not only not out of place, he looks like he's been doing this for 10, 15 years, right? Like, just the way he carries himself, the way he carries the puck, the way he he sees the ice is incredible for a kid his age, and he's only going to get better. So you're right. You should be worried because he's going to be one of the best in the world.
It was wild watching their power play because it's him, Seth Jones, Corey Perry, I think Nick Foligno, and I forget who the fifth guy was. And that's like, those are some serious veterans, and he was running the show.
That's what I mean. They run the whole thing through him.
Yeah, like it was so sick to watch. Obviously, just the one secondary assist last night, thankfully. But like, yeah, he's gonna be a pain in the ass. I'm really glad he's not in our division.
Yeah, that's fair. I'm glad he's in completely different conference. Actually, It's fantastic. So, it's Austin Matthews is obviously the story of the week here.
Yeah,
for me, the 6 goals through 2 games, and the way that he's scoring and the way that he looks out there should be just as scary as Bedard looks right now, because he looks like he might never go a game without scoring a goal again right now, is what Austin Matthews is kind of looking like.
And like, so I pulled up his third one for the Minnesota game, and like, to me, and now I didn't watch like every single game of them last year, but I don't think he scores that goal last year. I don't think he makes that power drive to the net last year.
Or if he did, he's putting it right into a pad, because he did do that a lot last year, but he always he never seemed to be able to find the back of the net when he did something like that, which is why he was able to put 60 up the year before and 50 the year before, like, because he was making those moves. But I think that, like, that's a hand injury. That's exactly what was holding him back last year, is not being able to create that much leverage when he cuts to the net like that. And that's why he only had 40. Down year for the guy. Like, lowest right? So it's encouraging to watch. John Tavares, I have to say, he looked slow to start against Montreal, but he's skating well. Last night against Minnesota, that's I've said it on the show 100 times, is that he's just never been a good skater. He'll never be a good skater, but I think he's really turned a corner, and that's I read, I forget exactly, I can't credit exactly who it was, but I read that he has hired a new skating coach, and he said that he's made significant strides in terms of foot speed, and I see the difference through the first couple of games, and it's showing with his point total. He's got 5 points through 2 games. I think that's fantastic for the captain. A lot of people doubting him going into this year, thinking that he's gonna decline, even though he was almost a point a game player last year. But good for the captain. That's what I have to say there.
All right. Do you have anything else to talk Toronto, or do you want to move to the rest of the league for right now?
No, I got I want to touch on some of the new guys, if that's okay. Absolutely. Max Domi's been okay, not the best, but okay. Tyler Bertuzzi's been fantastic. I love Tyler Bertuzzi on this team, on that line with Matthews and Marner's. He's got 1 goal. I don't know how many assists he's racked up. I haven't checked, but he looks good out there. He looks really, really good out there. He scored a goal last night on the power play, I believe. Second unit power play. But he just adds that level of
chaos.
That's exactly what it is. It's chaos. Like, did we ever figure out, like, the hab that he just dropped in the middle of that?
It must have been Matheson, because we only have a couple of guys with single digit like numbers, and like he would have been like the only one that could have been him.
Was he number 8?
Yeah, he is number 8.
That
so
it was him,
must
for
have
sure.
Been.
Yeah, it had to, because it was a number anyway. Like, Bertuzzi's just a freak, and I love him. He fits so well on that line. He's got the perfect mix of skill and sandpaper for that line. And it's almost like a better version of Matthews, Marner, Bunting. Like,
he's a way better player than Bunting.
That's what I mean, and it's so nice. It's so refreshing and nice to see. It sucks that he's only on a 1-year deal, because I don't know if he's gonna, like, I think he's gonna put up some points this year, man. He's playing on that line, like, he's gonna have a point a game. So that's that. Klingberg's looked fantastic. He's slow, but God, is he good offensively. Puts a lot of pucks on net, which is not something that we've seen since, like, Brian McCabe and Thomas Caberlet back in the day. So that's been really nice. We already talked a lot about Reeves. He's been that guy. He's done exactly what he's he's come to get, like came here to do. And Sheldon Keefe even mentioned that he's surprised with how good he's been defensively as well, which I think is interesting because I don't see it. But okay.
Well, like
anyway, that's all I have for Toronto.
I was like, is Keefe really gonna throw him under the bus 2 games into the season after everything else he's done? Like, I don't think so.
No.
But
no.
Also, I would throw him under the bus anyways because he could beat the shit out of me. So like,
he is an absolute monster. Like he is one of the biggest. Like he looks like a linebacker out there. He doesn't like.
Yeah.
He's got to be the biggest, like scariest looking guy in the league, just in terms of sheer like size and physique, right?
And like and outside of like Zdeno Chara, I don't think there's ever been like a player like that. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, he's just so large, like, and he can throw a hit, man. Like, oh my God. That was one thing that I didn't really think I would see is this guy just blow people up at center ice, like cutting across the middle of the fucking, like, oh my God. That was such a, like, vicious but clean hit last night. Like, oh my God.
He fucking yard sailed it. It was awesome.
Oh. Like I haven't seen it like that from the blue and white in a lot of years, dude. That was awesome. All right, let's move on to the rest of the league. I know you want to talk about some contracts that were signed over the past week, so let's get to them.
All right, where do you want to start?
Let's go the two in Winnipeg.
Okay, so Scheifele and Hellebuck signing matching 7x8.5s. Scheifele, I couldn't care less for. He's all right. The Hellebuck one for me is super interesting because he would have been probably the best goalie on the market or available. For the longest, they haven't seen like a goalie of his caliber kind of hit the market in a very long time. I'm surprised he chose to stick around in Winnipeg, honestly, because I didn't think they were anywhere near what they were last year, and I don't think they're going to be very good this year. And if he wants to win a cup, obviously, I thought he would want to leave as a free agent. But no, he committed another 7 years.
Well, yeah, the interesting part about that for me is how, like, every reporter, when that happened, was like, this is completely out of left field. Nobody saw that coming at all. Like, it was one of the most random, like, contract signings. Like, I'm pretty sure Hellebuck requested a trade at one point, did he not?
Yeah, he wanted out this summer.
Yeah,
and like the whole thing was he wasn't signing a deal this summer because he wanted out. He wasn't happy with the direction of the team.
So yeah, it was kind of just completely out of left field, and that was the crazy part for me. I think in terms of locking down one of the best goalies in the world for 7 more years is very important. The Scheifele contract is not going to look good after a few years.
No.
I don't understand giving him 7 years. I understand giving Hellebuck that because and we've talked about this before, there's like 5 or 6 guys in the league that you know what you're getting from, and other than that, goaltending is complete voodoo, right? And those guys are.
Sorry? I didn't realize Mark Scheifele's already 30.
Like that's what I mean. So like let's just talk about the goaltenders and what we're talking. Yeah. So Hellebuck's one of them. Yeah. Vasilevsky's one of them. Sorokin's one of them. Shesterkin's one of them.
I would throw Jake Ottinger in there.
And Ottinger. And Ottinger and Saros. Those are, so that's, what is that? Hellebuck?
I think 6 or 7 goalies.
Vasi, Shesty, Sorokin, Ottinger, Saros.
Yeah.
So you got 6 guys. 6 guys. That's what there really is for goaltending, where you actually know what you're going to get. If you have an opportunity to lock one of those guys down, you do it.
Oh, absolutely. I think it's a phenomenal signing for Winnipeg to get him. I did not see it coming, given what happened this summer with them kind of soft launching a rebuild, getting PLD out of there. Like, it just Blake Wheeler was out. Like, it very much felt like they were resetting, and obviously he's made it clear that he wants to win a cup. I just did not expect him to stick around at all. I thought he had New Jersey in the summer written all over him.
Yeah, weird. Really, really weird one for sure. But yeah. Hey, that's going to be the core there in Winnipeg for another 7 years. I don't know I don't know, man.
Scheifele for 7 more years at 8.25 or 8.5 is just.
Yeah,
they better hope that contract is front loaded. Because if it's evenly spread, that's gonna get ugly.
Yeah, well, the AAV is going to be evenly spread, and that's front loaded. The only thing that benefits is a team that's like the Leafs, right? Like that can pay front loaded contracts. I don't know if Winnipeg's in that position. Anyway, let's get to some of the other contracts. So there were a few other ones. Do you want to go out to Colorado or do you want to stay?
Well, I mean, it's both young defensemen, so I don't really care which one we start with.
Let's stay in the Eastern Conference. We'll talk about Power first. So Owen Power signs a deal. The terms are.
It is. So he's making wrong one. I pulled up the wrong one. He's making 8.35 for the next 8 years after this season.
Yeah, and this one was announced while we were sitting together watching the Leafs Habs game. So we already got a chance to talk about this, but let's touch on it. I just the trend in this league seems to be locking down your young players to very, very long-term deals before they really have a chance to turn into the best player that they're going to be, like before they peak, right?
Yeah.
And the issue with that is you don't know what their peak is until you see it. And if you're signing these kids to long-term contracts before you have a chance to see it, it could go both ways, right? Like look at the Nathan McKinnon deal. That's one of the best examples of that is they lock him down for 8 years and he turns into one of the best players in the world and he's not paid like it. That's one of the best examples of it working out. But there are examples of it not working out as well. Like this is kind of the same conversation that I've had with you about Suzuki before, right? He can grow into his contract. I just don't know if he's there yet. I don't know if you pay a guy for what they're going to be or you pay a guy for what they are. That's been my argument.
And my defense for that, and I'm going to use it here as well, is like when Suzuki signed that deal, he had 2 full seasons under his belt. So it was 164 games and had kind of, and plus a playoff run to the Cup final where he was really, really good as well. And kind of like he had earned that in that sense. Caulfield, again, had the phenomenal playoff run, a shit kind of start to that season under Ducharme, but really has been one of the best players under Marty St. Louis, and unfortunately just had that shoulder injury last year that took him out before he signed his extension. Owen Powers played 89 games. And like he has not shown me anything in that 89 games that says, yes, lock him down for 8 years at 8 point whatever. Like I would understand it more if, if we got to like the back end of the season, he had a really good year, and then you want to lock him down, absolutely. Like that would be fine. But to watch 89 games of him and say, oh yeah, like we're gonna lock him down for 8 years at whatever, like I think it's a little much.
Yeah, I would agree. But do you know where I think a lot of these guys are coming from? A lot of these general managers are coming from signing these contracts. The cap's
going to go up.
Exactly. The cap is about to increase significantly, and they understand that. So they're just trying to beat the clock, I think, rather than even getting, like you said, another season's worth of sample size for a guy like Owen Power, right? Like, I didn't see anything that significant out of Owen Power last year that made me think, oh my God, this guy's a guy that you want to lock down to an 8-year deal worth $8+ million, right? Like that's not what I saw out of Owen Power last year. But that's
I just want to like say that that's totally fine because that was his rookie. He played like a handful of games.
100%.
It's totally fine. I just want to make sure we're both like clear on that we're not just shitting on him saying what a terrible contract.
No. He can grow into he could win a Norris one day. Like I'm not saying that he doesn't have the capability to be one of the best defensemen in the NHL. What I'm saying is he wasn't that last year. He wasn't an $8 million player last year. So the fact that you're giving him $8 million for 8 years before seeing what he actually is going to become, because remember, defensemen take longer than anybody to develop in the NHL, right? Like
a couple of years. Not goalies, but
yeah, so goalies. But I'm talking skaters. Like it's a lot easier for a guy like Connor Bedard to come into the league and play center at 18 than it would be than it was for Owen Power to come into the league and as a number 1 overall pick and play right defense. Defense is just harder to adapt to when you get to the NHL, and it's because forwards are so skilled, right?
Yeah, and I'm gonna use my the Habs last year. Like we had 5 rookie defensemen, and it fucking showed because it wasn't something you could start your lineup. You could spread 5 rookies throughout your forward core easily, and be okay. But you have 5 rookie defensemen, and it is blatantly obvious that they are, there's a learning curve, and they're just not there yet.
Exactly. And like I said, he might be worth, he might show us this year that he's worth 12 million.
Yeah.
Right? Like he could do that easily, but he didn't show it last year. And I'm not a fan of paying guys before they show you what they actually are. I do understand what they're doing though over there, locking up pretty much their entire core. So they got Deline locked down, Samuelson locked down, Power locked down, Cousins locked down,
Tage is locked down.
Tage, exactly. They have everybody. Their whole core, and they have all of that before they got the cap relief from the salary cap going up. They're going to be able to build around that now. So they're betting on that core to be as good as they believe they're going to be, right?
Yeah, and I think we both talked about it last week that we believe that core is going to be phenomenal in a couple of years as well. So
we do.
I get it, but at the same time, like I said, if they had signed this deal, let's say he signs this deal in March, and we have 6 months worth of seeing him, I would probably feel less shitty about it.
Yeah.
But just literally on opening night of the season to sign for this deal, I don't get it.
Odd for sure. So let's move on to the one on a lot of big, a massively different scenario over in Colorado. You have Devon Toews signing a.
It is. Where you go? He is making 7.25 for the next, I think it's 7 years.
Yeah, 7 by 7.25 is what I remember the contract as well. This is a guy who is proven to be one of the best defensemen in the NHL. A lot of that is who he plays with, obviously. He plays with a modern-day Bobby Orr and Cale Makar, and those two together is arguably the best defensive pairing in the world, right? Devon Toews and Cale Makar, can we agree on that?
I'm just trying to think of other ones off the top of my head. Yeah, no, I think that's it.
I
think they're pretty clear.
They clear everybody.
And honestly, for them, it's a shame that there hasn't been any best on best international hockey, because they would legitimately be the Keith and Seabrook for Team Canada.
Yes, 100%.
They are super unfortunate to have missed out on that. But yeah, 7 by 7.25. I don't know how the fuck they got him to take that type of money.
That's highway robbery.
Could have asked for 10, and you would have been that's probably a little on the low side.
Well, 10, yeah. 7 years, 7 million, especially like we just talked about with Owen Power's contract, that the salary cap is going to go up.
Yeah.
That's going to age into one of the best deals in the league. It's just so good. He's, in terms of just disrupting offense, he's one of the best in the league. In terms of creating offensively 5-on-5, he's one of the best in the league from his position. It's just, it's incredible that they were able to lock him down, Devon Toews, for under $8 million and got him for 7 years. That is outrageous to me.
So he's 29 right now. So the fact that you're gonna basically have his entire prime on this contract is just fucking disgusting.
Yeah, in the last couple of years, so what's the salary cap going to be 6 years from now, or 5-6 years from now?
Yeah.
It's projected to go up 4 or 5 million this summer.
I was going to say, it could literally be easily 15 mil higher than it is right now in 4 or 5 years.
And you still have this guy on 8 mil. Even if he regresses into a third pairing guy, that's going to be a third pairing contract at that point in time.
Yeah.
That's incredible. It's amazing. It's such a good deal for Colorado, and I hate it. I hate that they get these deals. McKinnon, this guy, Toews, it's crazy the deals they get over there.
Yeah, phenomenal contract, and that they are just going to continue to be a pain in the ass.
Yeah. Anyway, are we missing anything from around the league? Those are the only contracts I believe that were signed, at least significant contracts that were signed.
Yeah. I think that's it in terms of contracts. I'm trying to think, is there any other stories around the league? We already talked Bedard, so I want to mention him. I think that might just about be it.
All right.
Kirby Doc did leave the game last night hurt, but the Habs haven't posted anything crazy about it, so I don't think it's anything too major, hopefully. Knock on wood. Yeah, I think other than that, that's it. What do the Leafs have coming up this week?
Oh, that's a good question. I do know that we have Chicago tomorrow night. Here, let me look it up on my phone quickly here.
Right,
we have Chicago tomorrow night. Bedard is in town. I do know we go on a 5-game road trip after that, but I forget where it starts and where it ends. So, Blackhawks tomorrow at 7 p.m. Then we go on a little bit of a road trip. We got the Panthers and Lightning Thursday and Saturday. So that fills out the week. We'll be doing this again on Sunday. So the only games before the next podcast are the Hawks tomorrow, Panthers on Thursday, Lightning on Saturday.
Those should be 3 fun ones.
Those will be
Bedard
3 fun
and then
games.
The 2 Florida teams. That's going to be a fucking good one.
Yeah.
So the Habs have Minnesota visiting on Tuesday, and then the Capitals in town on Saturday. And that's all we've got before the next episode is out.
So something I just want to point out about Minnesota, because we just played them. So
yeah,
get ready. They're quick. They are very, very quick. They're not very structured defensively, but holy shit, do they move the puck quick, and they got a lot of really feisty players. That's what they have.
And that should be fun, because that's what I want the Habs to be, and that's what they're kind of building towards, is that really fast, quick north-south team. So I'm hoping that should be a hell of an entertaining game. And just like one last thought on Montreal, because like the one thing I've seen so far in 2 games is like we're gonna be, as long as we stay healthy, we're gonna be fun this year. We might not be good, but we're gonna be fucking fun, and I'm really, really looking forward to that.
There you go. That's the right outlook to have when you're a bottom feeder. Anyway. Thank you, everybody, for listening to this episode of the Bitter Rivals podcast. It has been fun to talk about all of the wonderful happenings of the first week of the regular season. Thanks for listening. Thank you to 91N for powering this episode, and we will talk to you next Sunday for episode 106.